Welcome to another Telltale Books video. I'm Greg, and I have been exploring mainly because of a good friend convincing me to read with her. I've been exploring the earlier works of Sarah J. Maas. I've previously read A Court of Thorns and Roses, and well, I've read 4 out of the 5 books in that series, and I've done videos of the first 2. I got to do videos of the other 2, and then we got to read um, the final book in that series. And I hear there's another ACOTAR book coming out this year or next year. So I got to keep going with that series. But um, I'm going back with my good friend Samantha from at Bound and Tagged on Instagram. If you'd like to follow her, she posts reviews of the things she reads, and they're very interesting with very beautiful photography and a lot of just funny um, observations and intelligent observations about these stories. And she reads a lot of romantasy, which you could probably argue exactly what started romantasy. I mean, you could make an argument that it goes back to Twilight. You could make an argument that because Twilight is vampires and gothic, it goes all the way back to the 1800s and writers like Bram Stoker and other writers back at that time. But what we commonly think of right now when we say romantasy, certain sections of romantasy are also being labeled fairy porn because of their sexual content. This kind of story, maybe, I don't know that Sarah J. Maas was the very first to write this sort of thing, but she's certainly the one that has made it big. I mean, she's made it huge. And she started doing this with her Throne of Glass series, or Celaena series is what it's probably more accurately titled, which started, well, which the first novel in this series was Throne of Glass, which I have already reviewed. But before Throne of Glass came out, there were 4 novellas, and then there was a later novella. And those were collected into The Assassin's Blade, which was the last book to be published. So, Throne of Glass is the book that most people came upon first, and it's the book that really propelled Sarah J. Maas to fame and really started revolutionizing and creating this whole subgenre of romantasy, which people are just eating this stuff up. A lot of readers absolutely love these books. Now, like I say, a lot of the books are labeled fairy porn because they do get pretty explicit with sexual content. The Throne of Glass series, at least as far as I've read at this point, while it has romance, it does not have the explicit sexual descriptions, the explicit sexual scenes. Sex is hinted at, there are kisses, and there's flirting going on, but you never have full-blown sex scenes like you do in the ACOTAR series or in a lot of the other books that are being published today. So this series, being the first books that she wrote, got her categorized into young adult because the Celaena series or Throne of Glass series really is suitable for your teenagers. There's nothing in it that they can't handle or shouldn't handle. It's clean enough. So you can give this to your teenager or let your teenager pick it up themselves and read it, and everything is fine. No worries with these books. And yet, these books still propelled Sarah J. Maas to fame. they were very, very well liked. It kind of proves you don't have to have the explicit sex to make romantasy excellent. And she has definitely proved that with this entire Throne of Glass series. Now, the smut does help sales, and so her more recent novels have plenty of that in it. And other authors have been writing a lot of that sort of thing, like Fourth Wing, but you really don't have to have it. Now, I've been buying the current editions from Bloomsbury in hardcover because I just absolutely love the cover art on this series. I'm familiar from looking at them online on Goodreads. I'm familiar with the original cover art. I like this stuff better. Has a classic, it has a feel, the kind of feel of the graphic design and illustration that I've seen on a lot of books that were published in the 1940s. And so it has a very strong classic illustrative feel. And I love the colors, I love the typography, I love the illustrations. I just like everything about these editions. I think these are really, really strong, and that's why I want these. And at this point, I have the entire 8 book series of Throne of Glass books. So I'm going to try and do this without being spoilery, but be aware that I can't really give you any synopsis of Crown of Midnight without spoiling somewhat the first novel, Throne of Glass. So if you haven't yet read Throne of Glass and you think you want to try this series, definitely, if you need some convincing, go back and watch my first video for Throne of Glass and see if that compels you to go forward. And if you go forward, read that book and then you can come back and watch this video and then read Crown of Midnight. So be aware from this point on, I'm probably going to be spoiling things for anybody who has never picked up any of these books. I want to say I do recommend them. If you like romantasy, if you like young adult fantasy, if you like current fantasy, and if you're not looking for grimdark stuff like Joe Abercrombie or huge magic system stuff like Brandon Sanderson, you just want a fun adventure book. The Throne of Glass series is perfect for you. So, on to the Crown of Midnight. Celaena has now, as a result of the conclusion of the first novel, she is now the king's champion. And the king sets her a task of going after somebody who is against the king. And actually, I think she does 3 or 4 of these kinds of tasks. And then he sets her a task to go after somebody who used to be her friend. And she's not such a close friend that she's not against getting rid of this guy. They have some history, they have some bad feelings between them, but she does know him real well, and she's curious why the king would want him eliminated. So she starts investigating. She contacts this guy and she talks to him, and she starts investigating some leads that he gives her, which leads her on to a whole ring of people that goes way above this character. And so then she spends the rest of the novel pursuing that line of thought with the idea that she's going to bring to the king a whole bunch of bad guys and wipe them out. And this guy that she used to know, she's going to give him the opportunity to escape with his head, and they'll fake his death. But of course, being a Sarah J. Maas novel, it's not as simple as that. There's a lot of twists, plot twists, and a lot of eye openings to come through the story, which keeps you gripped into the story, keeps the action nonstop. The writing style is easy, so it goes real fast. You can read through this. At this point, these books are not the the Throne of Glass books get pretty long by the end, but at this point, we're still only at 420 pages. It's pretty much a normal novel, in my opinion. From here, they get bigger, but Crown of Midnight is not that long of a book. So it's an easy read, an enjoyable read. It's a lot of fun. The writing here isn't Ray Bradbury, it isn't Ursula Le Guin, but it's fun. It's enjoyable. You got some, I can't say that I really love the characters in these books, but um, they're they're still interesting characters. It's still very engaging, and it's a very interesting plot line. It's an engaging plot line. You're not going to be bored. This is good. I mean, let's face it, this is all entertainment. This book is going to entertain you if you like the current wave of romantasy books. If you hate it, then you're not going to like this book. If you're more into Fritz Leiber or Michael Moorcock, you may not like this book. It's going to be too lightweight for those kinds of heavy hitters in the fantasy world, but it still is fun. Crown of Midnight then is recommended to anybody who likes this current crop of romantasy subgenre. I won't go so far as to give this top tail status, but it's close. It's up there. It's recommended, just not classic. Sorry. I think the Akatar series transcends this, not because it has sex, but I think it does um, go farther than these books do. And so the Akatar series is the one I've been giving top tail labels to. Um, this I'm going to say it's close but not quite, and say that you should read it anyway if you like this kind of fantasy, if you like this style that Maas is doing. You should read it. And I know I'm going back, I'm taking something that's already very established in current fantasy literature and saying, yeah, you should try it. I'm sure a lot of people are, just laughing, going, yeah, I've read the whole series already. Um, this isn't the sort of thing I normally read, which is why I'm only just now discovering it. And I'm only now discovering it because of a friend who has pushed me into trying it. And I'm glad that she did. This is outside my normal comfort zone, but it's good. It's enjoyable. It's what I like reading for. I'll stop at that. Have you read Crown of Midnight or Throne of Glass or have any thoughts about Sarah J. Maas in general? Please leave them in any kind of informative comments in the comment section of the video for us all to enjoy and learn from. And otherwise, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel if you're not subscribed, because I've got a lot more Throne of Glass to come. And I got to do those two other um, Akatar videos. And I've got another Akatar book coming up, and I've got the 3 books for Crescent City. I own all 3. I need to read through those because I saw an article where the Crescent City series ties the 3 other series, ties all 3 of these series that Sarah Maas has done into one kind of multiverse, which I want to learn more about. I'm interested, so I got to read those books too. They're huge though, but they are yet to come. And of course, the next one I'll talk about is The Assassin's Blade, the prequels, because that's the order that Sarah J. Maas herself is recommending, that you read Throne of Glass, you read Crown of Midnight, you go back and you read these prequel novellas, and then you proceed on to book 3, which is Heir of Fire. I hope you'll come back and join me for all the videos that we do.